You are our caretaker, so it's your job to look after the entire family. If you don't like it, we can get a divorce. Then you'll be homeless. Eric then showed a filled-out divorce form and flaunted it in front of me. Eric was grinning and watching my reaction. He seemed confident that I couldn't possibly talk back. Fine, I will divorce you. I took the divorce form in front of me. Oh, you're quite understanding, aren't you? I never liked you from the start. Next time, we'll hire a more useful maid. My in-laws threw careless words at me one after another. But now that I had decided to divorce, they were strangers to me. Since coming to this house after marriage, my days have been like hell. But that ends today. A few days after our divorce was finalized, I received a call from Eric, who was supposed to be just another stranger by then. Hey. What do you mean by this? Did you know everything? Eric shouted at me with an angry tone. It seems you've finally realized. It's too late now. I knew why Eric was so angry. But I didn't feel obliged to explain and hung up unilaterally. It was a revenge plan I had devised. My name is Olivia. I have always loved books, and after graduating from university, I was delighted to get a job at a publishing company, as I had hoped for. Starting the job was more challenging than I expected. But I spent my days fulfilled by rewarding work. During a busy work life, I was invited by a friend to a drinking party where I met Eric, who worked at a major bank. Initially, I thought we wouldn't get along because Eric, who seemed popular and was a good talker, was quite different from a very ordinary me. However, we quickly became close after discovering a shared hobby. Eventually, our relationship continued, and he proposed to me, which led to marriage. Eric was always considerate and kind to me while we were dating, although he was somewhat proud. But that changed after we got married. Hey, isn't dinner ready yet? Hurry up, I'm tired. Eric had already taken a bath after coming home, and was lounging on the sofa in the living room with his smartphone, while I had to start preparing dinner immediately after returning home. Even though both of us were working full-time, all household chores were my responsibility, regardless of how much overtime I worked or how tired I was from my job. Today, too, I came home after a long day and hurriedly cooked dinner without even having time to change. I thought, even though I'm working too, why do I have to do everything? After marriage, Eric completely rejected my suggestion to share household chores, saying housework was a woman's job. Why should I do housework? That's something a part-time office worker like you should be doing. I was doing my job at the company responsibly and to the best of my ability. Even though we worked in different industries, which might make it hard for him to understand my job content, Eric's argument was harsh. Eric made disparaging remarks, suggesting that a woman's job is trivial and probably nothing more than serving coffee. He seems to pride himself on being an elite banker at a major bank, always sarcastically claiming that my job must be easier and less demanding than his. It may not be a big deal for you, but you don't have to say it like that. Huh? Don't you dare argue with me. Just because you work a bit, you're getting cocky. You should just quietly do as I say. After marrying, I realized Eric's views on marriage were very outdated. While it's common for households to share household duties these days, Eric believed that housework was a woman's job, and that it was natural for men to work hard outside. No matter how much I worked full-time, I was supposed to obey him because I was a woman. Our discussions about sharing household chores remained deadlocked, and eventually, I had to give in. Pleased with this, Eric began to treat me more like a maid than a wife. While it was not like this when we were dating, I felt sad but kept obeying to maintain peace on the surface, telling myself to endure it. Years into our marriage, a sudden change occurred in our lives. Eric's father, my father-in-law, was injured at work. While it wasn't life-threatening, he became physically disabled. He could return to a somewhat normal life with long-term rehabilitation. But it would require a lot of effort. I'm worried about my dad. As his son, I have to do something. We were living in an apartment close to our workplaces. But Eric suggested living with his parents at their house because of his father's injury. I understand you're worried about your father. But you can't just decide something so important all of a sudden. Give me some time to think. Although we had maintained a non-problematic relationship with my in-laws, living together was a different story. However, Eric didn't like my attitude and immediately changed his expression. What? Are you saying you don't care what happens to my father? What a heartless wife. Nobody is saying that, it's just that it's troubling to be told to suddenly live together. I have a job too, you know? What's so troubling about it? Oh, that's right, if you live at my parents' house. You can share the housework with my mom, which will make things easier for you. It's all good. Eric said this as if it were a brilliant idea. But just because the housework could be shared, I couldn't easily agree to move in. Even though I asked for some time to think. Eric didn't compromise in the subsequent discussions. On the contrary, he went ahead and told his parents that we were moving in. I've already told my parents we're moving in. Make sure you pack everything properly before we move. Eric didn't consider my circumstances at all. And the move to his parents' house was forcibly carried out. Life at my in-laws, which started by ignoring my opinion, turned out worse than I imagined. Fortunately, my father-in-law's injury had healed, but because he had gotten used to not working, he showed no motivation to work again. You guys are working, so there's no need for me to rush back to work. I just recovered from my injury, so let me take it easy for a while. Saying this, he lazily watched TV at home and would go out to play slots in the middle of the day, leading an idle life. Moreover, my mother-in-law, far from sharing household chores, pushed all the household duties onto me. You should be more aware of your duties as a daughter-in-law. And not just focus on your job. Do your tasks properly without relying on me. You're really cheeky. I wonder why Eric married someone like you. Saying that, my mother-in-law blatantly sighed. There was also Eric's sister Tara in my in-laws' house. Tara, after graduating from university, hadn't taken any permanent job and occasionally asked me for pocket money. I asked Tara, who was unemployed and staying at home, to at least help with the household chores. But my mother-in-law protested, saying, I can't let a daughter who's yet to be married do such hard labor. My mother-in-law insisted that I should do everything, from preparing meals for 5 people to doing the laundry. This isn't what we agreed on. Why do I have to do all the housework? It's like I'm a servant. What are you complaining about? It's the same tasks, just with a few more people, isn't it? Don't make such a fuss about it. I work full-time during the day, you know? Your father, your mother, and even your sister are all at home, any of them could do it. In the morning, before going to work, I prepare meals for everyone, do the dinner preparations, and also handle the laundry. After finishing these tasks, I head to work, and once I'm done, I prepare dinner. It's obvious that those who stay at home should share these tasks. But my in-laws did nothing, considering it the wife's job. My in-laws, who roam around for fun, my semi-reclusive sister-in-law Tara, and my husband who doesn't even try to listen to me. There's no one on my side in this house. Struggling to balance work and household duties, I became physically and mentally exhausted. Amidst this, an incident that would push me to rock bottom occurred. It happened when I was cleaning the car, mainly used by Eric. Eric is messy by nature and hardly bothers to clean the car he primarily uses. If left alone, it would become filled with trash, so I regularly cleaned the inside of the car. Today, as I was tidying up the car, I noticed something shiny under the passenger seat. What's this? It's not mine. Who dropped this? It was a woman's earring. Clearly not mine. It was evidence that Eric had taken another woman in the passenger seat of this car. I had indeed been curious about how Eric never let go of his smartphone wherever he went at home. Thinking it might be infidelity, I immediately hired a detective agency to investigate Eric's activities. After making me serve his family and himself if he was cheating with another woman, I could never forgive him if it turned out to be true. Though I hoped my suspicions were unfounded, unfortunately, Eric was indeed guilty. The investigative report from the detective agency stated that Eric was having an affair with a junior colleague at work. I had been working hard despite being treated like a servant because I still loved my husband. However, by the time I finished reading the investigative report, any such feelings had completely disappeared. Hey, what is this supposed to mean? I confronted Eric with the evidence of his affair as he returned from work. Faced with the detective's report, Eric displayed an uncomfortable expression. This was just for fun. Calling a detective agency, what a foolish woman you are. Instead of apologizing, Eric ridiculed the fact that I had investigated him for cheating. You should focus more on the house if you have time to do things like this. It's normal for a man to have an affair or two. My in-laws, who overheard the conversation, sided with Eric and started blaming me. It's your fault for not being attractive as a woman. You're getting cheated on because you're an old lady. My sister-in-law mocked me with a sneer. That's right, you should be grateful that I'm even with an old lady like you as a spouse. If you don't like it, you're welcome to leave this house. How can you say I should leave? You're the one who cheated, not me. You should be grateful that I even married a cheeky woman like you. If you don't like it, let's get a divorce then. Despite his own infidelity, Eric, along with my in-laws and sister-in-law, continued to berate me. From that day on, my mother-in-law began mixing non-burnable trash with burnable trash on purpose. And my sister-in-law began taking my personal items from my room and selling them online as harassment. After I accused them of infidelity, my in-laws, realizing I wouldn't fight back strongly, began treating me like a punching bag for stress relief. With no allies in the house, I became increasingly mentally cornered. One morning, while getting ready, I felt a clump of hair fall out. What's this? Why, my hair. Nervously looking in the mirror, I saw that part of my hair had fallen out in a circular pattern, exposing the scalp. Panicked, I rushed to the hospital, where I was diagnosed with alopecia areata caused by stress. The stress was clearly due to life at my in-laws. The doctor warned that if this continued, my hair would keep falling out and I would end up with patchy bald spots. I thought, I can't stand this life anymore. Shocked, I returned home, and as usual, my in-laws and sister-in-law were lazily relaxing in the living room. I tried to hide the bald spot from them, but Tara noticed my suspicious behavior. Wait a minute. Are you going bald? Tara, with the expression of a bully who had found something amusing, forcefully grabbed my hand that was covering the alopecia. Oh no. What's this? What is that? It's shameful. Can't even keep up appearances as a woman. Stop, don't look. Don't laugh, please. While I pleaded tearfully, they didn't stop mocking me. Instead, they looked at my head and burst into laughter, holding their stomachs. Why do these people enjoy doing things others hate so much? They seemed like devils to me. And they told Eric about my alopecia in a joking manner when he got home. Wow. You're really going bald. No way. Even my husband, rather than being concerned, joined in the laughter. I wanted to scream at them, asking whose fault they thought this was. But it was 4 against 1, and I couldn't win. Taking advantage of my non-resistance. These people would likely escalate their behavior even more. I thought, am I supposed to live the rest of my life being ridiculed and looked down upon by these people? No way, I absolutely refuse. Amidst their vulgar laughter, I finally decided to take my revenge. One evening during dinner, Tara suddenly asked, "Olivia, are you considering moving into a luxury apartment?" It seemed she had snooped on my computer in my room and seen me searching for real estate information. Despite thinking how tactless she was, I nodded, yes. Eric had always expressed a desire to move into a luxury apartment in the city someday. It was a typical wish for someone as prideful and ostentatious as Eric. My in-laws' house was quite old and far from being called clean. Despite starting to live there, Eric seemed to be fed up with the discomfort of the house. And when I suggested moving to an apartment soon, he happily engaged in the conversation. Dad is fully healed now, so it's probably fine for us to move out soon. None of my peers live in a high-rise luxury apartment, they'll surely be jealous. Imagining himself living in the luxury apartment, Eric said this with a dreamy look on his face. I thought, this will free me from those in-laws and Tara. With that thought, I enthusiastically began searching for the apartment that Eric desired. Things progressed smoothly. And after completing the purchase of the apartment and while preparing for the move, Eric suddenly asked Tara, "Hey, Tara, do you want to live in the apartment with us?" Really? Can I? Of course, we're family. And of course, Mom and Dad are coming too. The new place has plenty of space and rooms, so no need to hold back. Oh, what a filial son. I'm so happy. Tears welled up in her eyes as she was moved by Eric's words. I wasn't informed about living together. As the conversation proceeded without my input, I once again felt ignored and snapped at Eric. Really, you're still saying that? You're supposed to take care of us, so it's obvious we'd all live together. If you don't like it, we can get a divorce. Then you'll be homeless. Here. From somewhere, Eric brought a filled-out divorce form and fluttered it in front of me. He grinned and watched my reaction, confident that I couldn't retaliate. Fine, I will divorce you. I took the divorce form in front of me. Eric, surprised by my response, widened his eyes. Bluffing, huh? Are you really okay with this? Yes, since I'm so disliked, there's no need to live together anymore. Oh, you're quite understanding, aren't you? That's right, I never liked you from the start. Eric, you'll find a more wonderful woman immediately after the divorce. Lucky. Good riddance to someone who can't even tolerate cheating. Next time, we'll hire a more useful maid. My in-laws continued to throw insensitive remarks my way. But now that I had decided to divorce, they were strangers to me. I'm fed up with serving people as self-indulgent as you. Enjoy living with your family. Are you just sore about losing? Just disappear from our sight. Truly a useless woman. Stubborn woman. If only you were a little cuter. Everyone would have liked you. Well, take care. Ignoring their sarcasm and disdain, I left my in-laws' house with my packed belongings. Since moving to this house after getting married, my days have been like hell. But that ends today. I was truly relieved by that thought. A few days after our divorce was finalized, I received a call on my smartphone from Eric, who was supposed to be just another stranger by then. Hello? What do you mean by this? Did you know everything? Eric yelled at me with an angry tone. It seems you've finally realized. It's too late now. I knew why Eric was so angry. But I felt no obligation to explain, so hung up the phone unilaterally. However, a few days later, as I was leaving work to head home, I was shocked to find Eric waiting for me. You knew about that thing and kept quiet on purpose. With an abnormal fervor that made passers-by turn around, Eric confronted me. Oh, you're being persistent, I get it. Fearing he might follow me all the way home if I ignored him, I decided to sit down with Eric at a nearby diner to talk. In fact, the executive of the bank Eric works for lived on the top floor of the luxury apartment they moved into, and his wife, the president of the building's residents association, was very strict about the rules and feared as the empress among the residents. However, my husband and his family, who had left all household chores to me, failed to understand the strict rules and continued to dispose of their trash as they pleased. As expected, they caught the attention of the executive director's wife. They were lectured in front of other residents daily, shredding my mother-in-law's pride. Tara reportedly became so distressed that she lost weight rapidly, unable to eat. Furthermore, the family living directly below Eric's apartment was that of his immediate supervisor, the department head. Eric was apparently receiving snide remarks from his boss every time he went to work, saying, "How dare a section chief like you live above me?" At work, he was being criticized in front of his subordinates and assigned to handle tasks that couldn't possibly be completed alone in the short term. The department head and the executive director live there. Why did you keep such an important thing a secret? A wife shouldn't speak out of turn, right? I just searched for the property as I was told. I had been secretly using my connections to attend gatherings of the wives of bank employees. That's how I had gathered information on who lived where. I knew that my in-laws were going to move into the luxury apartment, ignoring my opinions, using that to make them feel uncomfortable. That was my plan for revenge. You, stupid woman. Because of you, our family is. Eric turned red with anger as I revealed the truth. His mother and the others soon arrived, likely called by him. It's your fault we are all falling apart. Take responsibility. Pay us compensation. Unlike before, I stood firm against my in-laws who were still blaming me despite their own actions. Why should I do such a thing? I have no intention of apologizing to you. I then picked up my smartphone and revealed that I had been recording all the verbal abuse from my in-laws and planned to use it as evidence for a criminal complaint. What? A lawsuit. Isn't that overreacting? Overreacting? It might seem so to you, who never listened to me no matter how much I complained. But I have a medical report that says I developed alopecia areata from stress. It counts as assault. I also played a video on my smartphone and showed it to the entire family. It was footage of Tara frequently taking things from my room. Did you think I didn't know you were stealing my belongings and selling them online? This is clearly theft. Theft. I was just borrowing them. No matter what excuse you make, this video will prove in court that you are a criminal. Wait, don't be so angry. Even though we're divorced, we were a family that lived together. Talking about a lawsuit is so drastic. You wouldn't really do that, right? No, I will not forgive you. Family? You never thought of me as family, just a convenient maid, didn't you? Don't say such convenient things now. I understand. You're regretting divorcing me, aren't you? That's why you're talking about a lawsuit. If you're struggling financially now that you're single, I could consider remarrying you if you're reflecting on your actions. Eric said this in a flustered manner. Hearing that, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Me want to get back with you? Are you serious? Thanks to you, I'm living comfortably, so no need to worry about me. Saying that, I handed him my business card. Eric had always mocked me as just a coffee server. But the card listed my title as the president of a subsidiary of a publishing company. President. While I had been entrusted with all the household chores, I never slacked off at work. Eventually, my work was recognized. And I had been serving as a director of a subsidiary of the publishing company I was originally with. But I had deliberately not told Eric about it. Even if I had told him, I didn't think he would believe me because he looked down on me. And if he did believe, I could see him exploiting me even more. If you had been someone who truly listened to me, I might have considered discussing a loan from your bank for my company. But unfortunately, I can't possibly make a deal with someone like you. I'll consider other banks. I was wrong. I never dreamed you'd be in such a position. Eric bowed his head to me in a meek manner. Likely because he realized he could use me as a client to boost his sales performance. It's too late. You'll just have to live in that apartment, flattering your superiors. Oh, since we're divorced, why not marry your affair partner? Olivia, please, don't say that. Eric clung to me, but I coldly rejected him and left the diner. Wait. You haven't apologized for embarrassing us yet. Mother-in-law and Tara chased after me as I attempted to leave. Their pride was hurt, and they couldn't contain their frustration. Unbelievable. I'll call the police. Or do you want to add more crimes? When I coldly said this, they finally realized they had no chance of winning and reluctantly dispersed. Later, I heard from an acquaintance that despite being a section chief, Eric had fallen out of favor with his boss and had been demoted to an ordinary employee due to various nitpicking at work. Furthermore, a subordinate who was also his affair partner claimed he forced a relationship on me. The affair partner quickly abandoned Eric after he became disliked by his boss and saw his career prospects cut off. Eric denied such facts, but with his reputation already tarnished, no one took his words seriously, and he was transferred to a department known as a dumping ground for those slated for layoffs. The former elite banker was now burdened with changing light bulbs and cleaning toilets. A humiliation unbearable for the proud Eric. Eric is considering changing jobs, but he is prevented from quitting by his mother, who keeps asking, "What about the mortgage on the apartment?" Stuck in a situation where he must work while his parents and sister, accustomed to a lazy lifestyle for years, refuse to work. Their home is constantly filled with arguments. The once close-knit family is now tense and filled with strife. Meanwhile, since my divorce, I have been leading a successful life. The subsidiary I oversee is thankfully seeing an upward trend in performance. And I am blessed with excellent employees, making my work fulfilling. With a stress-free life, my hair has grown back beautifully. I had thought I was done with romance, being so fulfilled by my work. But recently I started dating a man. Interestingly, he is a popular author whom I once managed as an editor. Not only is his work commendable, but his character is also undeniably respectable. And he has proposed marriage to me. Having once failed at marriage, I hesitated, but moved by his sincerity, I agreed to his proposal, saying I would be delighted. After getting married, he never changed like my ex-husband Eric did, but continued to be considerate and a wonderful husband. His parents are also good people, and we have managed to maintain just the right distance. Though I had given up on building a warm family, I was fortunately blessed with a wonderful partner. I now look forward to walking a happy life together with him.